It's the Pacific Rim Pro Wrestling Podcast, the podcast that takes you, where is it? From Seattle to Tokyo and all points of art history. It's the way out of practice, Jim Valley, here in Seattle. And we take you across the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific Rim, to Tokyo, Japan. And Japan's leading journalist, author, and historian, Fumi Saito.
Hello from Tokyo.
No. How you doing?
This is for real. So some people don't believe it. You guys are both in Seattle, aren't you?
No. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe sometime in 2025, not for Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty, nothing that early, but wouldn't surprise me if we ended up doing a show at some point from Tokyo.
Really? In 2025?
Yes.
Planning on coming over?
You never know.
Okay. All right. At least this is my 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday.
What is it? It's about 5 o'clock here. 5 o'clock in the evening.
On Thursday night.
On Thursday, correct. And it is still December 5th, where you are, it's December 6th. Right.
Yeah.
But we're talking about something that happened 26 years ago today, my time.
But because you saw something on X, Twitter, or...
Yeah.
Yeah,
we saw something on Blue Sky, I believe it is.
Yeah, Blue Sky, okay.
But
the clip from YouTube.
Yeah, it reminded me. I'm not good at keeping calendars. But it was 26 years ago, 1998.
December 4th.
Yes, Real World Tag League Finals.
Finals at the Nippon Budokan.
Right. And it was the team of Burning, Junior Akiyama, Kento Kobashi, taking on Vader and Stan Hansen. And
Stan Hansen way too strong, right? Duel.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Now, were you shooting at ringside? Because I've been looking. I haven't seen.
I never. I'm not a photographer.
I didn't think so. But
no, I did that for a couple of years. To be exactly 4 years in Minnesota. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but upon my return to Japan, I started 85.
Yeah.
I never took another photo in ringside.
Okay, I was just curious.
Never a photographer. No, I was horrible.
Well, it's good to know your limits.
And also, when you come back to Japan, you have photographers. I mean,
that's true.
They're really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was never a photographer in ringside. No, but I was right outside the guardrail taking notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you remember about the lead up? Let's talk about the lead up to this match.
It was actually okay. You're gonna rewind the tape a little bit. That
Yeah.
Vader, simply Vader now, not the Big Van Vader or the Super Vader or anything else. That the Leon White, the Vader. This was his first All Japan's Real Tag Team Tournament. Vader was
right.
So actually, this was for in Stan Hansen's mind. It was passing torch tour.
Right.
The Vader worked his very first All Japan match May 1st of 1998, same year. Remember, there was a very first Giant Baba's All Japan Tokyo Dome card, May 1st of 1998. They were going to bring in some WWE, F talent, which just so happened that Vader was the only one that came in, And at the Tokyo Dome, May 1st, same year, May 1st, Tokyo Dome, All Japan, Giant Baba's very first Tokyo Dome card. Vader, Stan teamed up together, for the first time ever. Stan Hansen, the biggest American legend in Japan. Vader, coming from debuted 1987 New Japan, and we have to remember Leon White was one of the very few wrestlers, if not the only one, that he won the world heavyweight title in 5 different continents.
Yeah,
that was his. Yeah, in Europe beat Otto Vance for CW World Title. That
Right.
IW,
UWF.
UWF in Mexico, yeah,
Right.
and of course IWGP
Right.
with New Japan, and WCW
Right.
in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and also came in after he finished up with New Japan. He signed with UWF International, UWFI in your country. That
Right.
to have this dream single match against then superstar Nobuhiko Takada, Super Vader against Nobuhiko Takada on the UWF style. Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Vader, huge star. Then finally he went to WWE, WWF,
Right.
Then, but actually, in reality, the Vader was kind of wrestler who get pinned by Sweet Chin Music 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. He didn't have the best run
Run,
for
yeah, yeah.
whatever reasons.
Yeah, he actually personally wanted to win the WWF title too, to
Of course.
add to his resume, But the
I think
WWF wasn't the place for him at all.
he wasn't, but I think a lot of fans anticipated that he would, you know, complete that circle, but it wasn't meant.
And the mass, the body,
Yeah.
and also the biggest, like a best big man worker, right? Wrestler. I mean, he can move.
Right.
He has his trampoline in the back of his house and doing the 400-pound moonsault and all these things. Great athlete, but the WWF wasn't the place. You know what I'm saying?
No, it wasn't.
And Baba wanted to bring in some WWE, WWF talent for his first ever Tokyo Dome card. But we got fast forward that a little bit. The Vader was their choice. That one WWF talent that the All Japan brought in for their Tokyo Dome card. It didn't even look like WWF talent, did it? Did he?
No.
And sure enough, the Vader pretty much quit WWF at that point and signed with All Japan afterward. Yeah. But anyway, the very first
and it rehabbed him.
Huh?
It totally revived his career.
Yeah, I think so, because he's like he doesn't need big promo or storyline or drama, all these things that he comes in and just work,
Yeah.
Where there is no big promo or of course in Japanese wrestling there's storylines there,
Right.
angles there, but it's always done in the ring, and storyline and angle itself is very subtle, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, the Vader debuted with All Japan Pro Wrestling May 1st of 1998, teaming with Stan Hansen, going up against Kenta Kobashi and none other than Johnny Ace. But let's not go into that.
Okay, right.
Yeah. But Kobashi and Johnny Ace has been U.S., American, Japanese, the young generation, good team. They've been teaming up together 7-8 years, at that point. Vader stand against Kobashi and Johnny Ace. There was like a second from top of the card, right?
Yeah.
That Kobashi finally beat Stan with inside cradle. You have to understand Japanese wrestling. It's so hard. It is really hard to have somebody like Stan Hansen or Bruiser Brody to get pinned 1, 2, 3 in the middle of that ring.
Right.
These things are like a sacred territory that they're very much kept. That's why winning and losing is still pretty important and very meaningful. Anyhow, Kobashi beat Stan Hansen finally after he got beat by his lariat for 5,000 times by then.
Right.
But the inside cradle, 1, 2, 3, you saw it. But when this, pinning Stan Hansen match is like, if you remember, whenever Stan get beat, he gets up right away and then start going berserk and then walk out of the ring, run out of the ring. Let's say, then people go, they beat Stan, didn't they? I don't remember. What happened? I think Kobashi beat Stan, but Stan was still strong.
Right.
But that's how people remember. Anyhow, that was very significant. And going back to our original topic of today, December 5th of 1998, the tournament final, Jun Akiyama, Kenta Kobashi going up against team of Stan Hansen and Vader. Stan and Vader became tag team that year at the end of the year, and all the official tournament matches, they beat everybody. Every single team. Well, who's going to beat Stan and Vader, right? It's really hard.
Right.
But the tournament final, for the first time, that was also a passing torch match that everybody remembers. Stan Hansen's signature move, left arm lariat, right? And that was the year Kobashi started using his right arm bomber clothesline for his finish. And with this right arm lariat, he pinned Stan Hansen for the first time. That's the beginning of passing torch thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think Stan Hansen retired in 2000, right?
Retired 2000. He announced it, but actual retirement ceremony was held January of 2001.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but he retired 2000. We'll get to that because this is very important. End of 1998, Kobashi finally beat Stan Hansen in the middle of the ring with his new finish, lariat. Lariat to lariat, Of course, right after this match, Stan Hansen got up and gave his left arm clothesline to Kobashi, and then he left. But Jun Akiyama and Kobashi, the team of Burning, they won the tag team tournament for the first time. That was a very interesting tag team tournament because everything was passing torch. At the end of 1998, didn't we all already have like a millennium feeling?
Right.
Yeah. And this was, Kenta Kobashi and Jun Akiyama Burning, that the regular tag team. That the Toshiaki Kawada and Akira Taue, regular tag team. And Misawa had a new partner, Yoshinari Ogawa, untouchable. Then the new team, Yoshihiro Takayama and Omori, no fear. Remember?
Right.
It's all new, like a millennium tag team being formed.
Right.
Yeah.
You're taking me back.
Yeah. And also, this might be the real good chance that Misawa, Kobashi, Kawada, and Taue, right?
Right.
You call it the 4 pillars of heaven in America?
Something like that, yes.
In America. And then I've been told that the train has left the station, and it's so famous. Like in AEW television or English-speaking Japanese wrestling website refer that Misawa, Kobashi, Kawada, Taue, the 4, big 4, as pillars or 4 pillars of heaven. It's been really established already.
Well, I don't know what they are currently in AEW, but I think Tony Khan has his 4 pillars as well.
Yeah, because of 4-man little unit,
right?
Like
it's 4 pillars of his promotion. I think.
Because it made sense, right?
Right.
Actually, in Japan, that the group of not a tag team but this faction, like anti-establishment almost, Misawa, Kobashi, Kawada, and Taue, the 4 big ones.
Right.
It's called. Oh, all right. This is my lecture.
I see that. Welcome to your TED Talk.
It's called Shitenno. 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 It's called Shitenno. Shitenno. Okay. It's one word. Shitenno. One word. Misawa, Kobashi, Kawada, and Taue. 4. And somebody in America, it's a one word, Shitenno, one word. But somebody in America decided to translate these 3 kanjis, 4 pillars of heaven or something. 4 pillars of heaven. It's one word, Shitenno, simply means big 4. Big 4. Simply Shitenno. But somebody in America decided to translate 1 kanji at a time. 4, like pillars of heaven. So Actually, it's pretty creative that they try to translate these three different kanjis into English concept, but it's actually one word, and it's not about wrestling. It's shitenno, any sport or political campaign, political group, or the four persons stand out in the company or the baseball team or even in the academic field, that the four four great ones. The reason they came up with this was that on the other side they used to call it New Japan had a three musketeer,
Right.
Keiji Muto, Masachono, and Shinya Hashimoto, three musketeer, and All Japan had four great ones. So it was like almost like a counterpart, same age group, same generation, 90s. That no more Inoki, Fujinami, Choshu era, but the three musketeer took over the main event position, whereas Giant Baba still there, but the Jumbo Tsuruta, no, this is like a Misawa and his generation of guy took over the spot. Four great ones, but somebody in America translated four like a pillars, heaven, three kanjis, but it's one word, shitenno. But it's typical example of something lost in translation, in stuck, which is okay, because I've been told that the train has left, and you can't really change it. Just like the word. I don't mean to go off the track, but the word Joshi, right?
Right.
Yeah, Joshi. Joshi, right? You see it
Right.
all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's Joshi in Japanese. Only means female.
Right.
But in wrestling website world, Joshi automatically means women's wrestling in Japan. Joshi golf, Joshi volleyball, Joshi basketball, Joshi gymnastics, Joshi swimming, anything. Joshi means women's or female. That's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Furin Kazan. Furin Kazan separate. So Furin Kazan is by Furin Kazan. Four kanji, but one word. Yeah. But so sometimes Google translation or something, they might translate one kanji at a time and you have to make something up. But it's Google translation doesn't really give you the nuance of it. Yeah. But something that we can go over that,
Sure.
another time. But this 1998 Kobashi pinning Stan Hansen with his right arm lariat right in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, and that was the end of 1998. We all had this millennium year coming up, and I think it was almost symbolic that the January of 19, and then that was the night Jan Baba had the last match of his life. Jan Baba, Rasha Kimura, Mitsuo Momota against Fuchi and Eigen and Kikuchi. That's a regular your before the intermission six-man tag team, but nobody, it's great to have, but nobody really thought about it. But New Year comes, and end of January 1999, Baba passes away at the age of 61. While All Japan's still hot, but when King dies, you have this turmoil in this kingdom, huh? King has suddenly left us. And I don't know how to put it, but the people in kingdom secretly hated the queen.
Right.
What I was getting to. Anyhow, that January, that was so 26 years ago. Oh my gosh, if you're in early 30s, being a serious wrestling fan right now, right? That something that happened 26 years ago is pretty ancient, huh? But when you go back there a lot of hint and historical moments were there when you look back. Kobashi pinning Stan for the first time in a very important match. No excuse, no backslide, no inside cradle, nothing. Was his finish 1, 2, 3. Stan doesn't do that too often, right? And Kobashi, team of Kobashi and Akiyama, winning the tag team trophy for the first time. And he was adding Jun Akiyama into this 4-pillar puck. It's a 5 big one now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then the new year comes, January. Then it was the night Giant Baba, his very last match of his life. 3 weeks, 3 weeks gone. To be exact, January 31st of 1999, Baba died, right? Then following month, February of 1999, Jumbo Tsuda announces his retirement, and he resigned he was part of the board member of the All Japan Pro Wrestling at the time. Jumbo quietly resigned from the company. He was going on his way to Portland, Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, for his, Professor Tenor, So apparently, Mrs. Baba at the time thought that after Baba, it's natural, inherit that, her parent, Jumbo Tsuda, should be the company boss of All Japan, naturally. But right after, it just so happened Baba passes away, and Jumbo is getting ready to leave wrestling too, and he asked Mrs. Baba, make Mitsuharu Misawa a president. Mrs. Baba wanted Mitsuo Momota to be the president, But before leaving All Japan Company for good, Jumbo and Mrs. Baba had a serious meeting that for the future of the company, make Misawa a president and Toshiaki Kawada vice president. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Misawa's All Japan Pro Wrestling tenure actually existed about a year. May of 1999, Misawa becomes president of All Japan Pro Wrestling. Then exactly 1 year later, May of year 2000, Jumbo passes away.
Right.
At the age of 47. See, with cancer, though, he must have known about his condition a year before, don't you think?
One would think, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't tell anybody about it. Probably only his immediate family. Wrestlers didn't know. None of the press knew about it. We all thought he left wrestling and went back to college and academic environment. He had the tenure in Portland, Oregon, and he was teaching a couple other places. And he completely left wrestling, showing the world that there is life after wrestling. As big a star as he was.
Yeah.
Well, actually, another subject. Today's wrestling website saying Jumbo Truth, somebody really obscure.
Oh, I've never seen that before. Wow.
Yeah, it's because you got to do more homework. Jumbo Tsuda has good 25-year run as the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you have, but the Jumbo passes away too, and this, like I said, May 13th to be exact, May of 2000, Jumbo passes away, and July of that year, 2000, Misawa quit All Japan Pro Wrestling and start Pro Wrestling Noah. Yeah. So that was just all these things, this millennium, of course, but the actual historical event all took place around that time of the year, around that time. For Stan Hansen, was passing top gaijin spot to Vader, obviously, Well, actually, not that much older. Stan Hansen born 1949, right?
Right.
And Vader 1955. So Stan's 6 years older, but in the wrestling world, he's like 20 years ahead of him, right?
Well, because Stan start wrestling, 60?
71?
71, okay.
70?
Okay.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. and the Vader wouldn't start until what 80,
85.
85, 86? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But Stan Hansen knew Vader was going to be the guy
Right.
to take over this strongest, biggest, baddest Gaijin American big time heel. That because Stan believed that you need big, strong, badass Gaijin on top in Japanese wrestling
Right.
because two, like a Japanese wrestler against Japanese wrestler with
Right.
good wrestling content, that's fine. But Japanese star competing against another Japanese competing, in the ring, that doesn't really deviate from what's happening in real society.
Right.
And Stan strongly believed bad, big, bad Gaijin American that who who couldn't they can't do anything about physically.
Right.
I mean, no logic, that any Vader against Kobashi, Vader against Misawa, Vader against Kawada, Vader against, let alone Vader against Yoshinari Ogawa or somebody, that there's no logic that this so big, big American would dominate. That's what Stan believed in. And you always need big, bad American. And started passing torch to Vader, and sure enough, that following March of 1999, Vader beats Kawada for Triple Crown belt for the first time, another world title,
Yeah.
and in following month, April of 1999, Vader wins his first Champion Carnival tournament. So they already won was in the tag team final 1998 December, and following spring 1999 already got the Triple Crown belt and that winning annual championship carnival, and Stan slowly stepping down, and I think that his peer, strongest peer, Jumbo passing away had a lot to do with it too. In 1973 in Amarillo, Texas, Stan,
Right.
it's interesting. Young Jumbo Tsuruta, Tomomi Tsuruta, young Stan Hansen,
Right.
and young Bob Backlund all lived in the same apartment complex. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something. So they promised each other, we'll all be a star. And just so happened that way. It's just so, it's just kind of, you cannot write the scenario, you know? But it was all true that they met again. Well, Stan previously worked for New Japan, his big rival at the end of the 70s into early 80s. But then Stan switched from New Japan to Baba's All Japan in 1981 and worked 20 years then
Right.
since. And Jumbo passing, in May, spring of 2000, I think that's when Stan really decided to, hang the shoes, I'm leaving too.
Sure.
Yeah. And the oldest guy in the dressing room too, right? Oh, probably the oldest wrestler in the whole backstage.
Yeah.
And yeah, Stan knew that Baba passed away, Jumbo passed away, Misawa president, Vader is coming in, it's already established. And
Oh,
that
not only that, but I mean, for this match we're talking about in late '98, December 5th, Stan Hansen still looks pretty good.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say maybe he's a little slower, but not like he was ever known for his speed. But no one wants to see, an old Stan Hansen, or no one wants to see Stan Hansen doing comedy like Baba did. That's not what you want from Stan Hansen. So, I mean, whether he chose the time or it's, the Jumbo death influenced him, it probably still was the right time for him.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But it made him like I did a couple few interviews, sit down interviews with Stan Hansen at the time. I still have that in cassette tapes.
Yeah.
That reflecting upon his life kind of thing. He was telling a story, and is it the right time to do so? Okay. Hard to move fast when you can't see. Well, he always had the super nearsighted,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay. He was like that in football days too. He
Yeah.
just run in and just give him big tackle and all that, you know. But so it wasn't anything new, you
No,
know.
it wasn't. I know.
Yeah. Then always worked without glasses, and that's what made him even more dangerous and very convincing professional wrestler. Somebody being on the top of top position for close to 30 years in Japan without promo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just his story was always told in that ring. That's very strong. And when he can't, I mean, he probably he could almost still do it, but he really had like Baba passing, Jumbo passed away. And this is like I'm gonna decide when for him to retire and like a grace for
Yeah.
yeah. And he actually, didn't have retirement match, just like Jumbo. He left, right? In suit and tie, Um, Stan actually had retirement ceremony instead of retirement match. It was January 28th of 2001. He came in with his, not the regular 10-gallon hat, but more like fancier, 10-gallon hat, a nice leather vest, and loof tie, like what Texan would dress up for the
Sure.
occasion.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, and it was third year memorial for Giant Baba's passing at the Tokyo Dome. That was a right moment that night. That was a memorial show for 2 year, third year memorial for Giant Baba, but that was the night Stan chose to have his retirement ceremony. No retirement match, but his dress up like Great Texan and said goodbye to everybody. How just so dignified.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So that was interesting that you found that the YouTube clip of Kobashi Akiyama against Stan and Vader, it had the meaning of more, not just the outcome of the match, but it was beginning of this millennium. You know,
The winds of change.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't feel it then, but when you look back, end of '98 and January of '99, Baba passing, Jumbo retiring, Misawa becoming president of All Japan, and then exact 1 year later, May of 2000, Jumbo passes away. Oh my God, that's really millennium.
What's
Yeah,
fascinating about the
yeah.
match is how Akiyama, not as much, but more so Kobashi, both Burning is fighting from underneath for their lives. And it's, I mean, I'm not saying
Stand better. No weak points. Yeah.
no, no. I mean, especially with, Kobashi was a bull who, you know, took all kinds of punishment and gave it back. And really, and he's selling like he did in few matches here. I'm not saying he didn't sell,
So
but
much, but the Japanese wrestlers, all Japan wrestlers, had so much respect for Stan.
yeah,
You know, yeah. And the Vader was treated equally too, because
yeah,
everybody felt that after Stan, it's got to be Vader.
right. You've got to
Yeah.
build Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Vader may
And
be the
he's
most
the
dominant.
perfect candidate.
Yeah, he might be
Perfect.
the most dominant guy in the match.
Yeah, yeah. Physically, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
and he has speed. You know, yeah. So it was a very interesting night, and also again, it was we didn't know at the time Giant Baba's last match.
yeah.
Of his life was held the same night at the Budokan. Yeah. So that was interesting because Miss, Jumbo left the company, and they finally made Misawa the president of All Japan. So it was going to be two bosses, Mrs. Baba and Mitsuharu Misawa. Like almost queen or king had died, right? And the queen and adopted second son, because the oldest son left the company, left the kingdom too
Right.
in Jumbo. Yeah,
So you had
and
like
1 year later,
Prince.
they all got themselves into Norzak.
Yeah,
Yeah. And August, to be exact, it was like a Jumbo died, and the following month, like a Jumbo died May of 2000 and July of 2000. 2 months later, Misawa and his guy announced we quit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And 24 wrestlers, referees, ring crew, audio guy, everybody, but Kawada and Fuchi and Mauna Kea Mossman. That's it. And the legendary referee Kyohei Wada, because he was driving Mrs. Bauer that day. You know, yeah. But it wasn't the end of Mrs. Bauer version of All Japan either. She got up and no, I'm not gonna quit. Then hire back Tenru, and following year Keiji Muto come in, and this version of All Japan will last. But the pro wrestling Noah start this inaugural this history at the Difa Ariake, and Nippon TV Channel 4 went with it. Yeah, so that was very significant time. And 1998 also was the year, before we forget, April of 1998, Antonio Inoki finally retired.
That's right.
Yeah, and that was April 4th of 1998. And 4 weeks later, well, actually, like 1 month, not even a month later, Giant Baba's All Japan has their very first Tokyo Dome show. 2 Tokyo Dome in April and May. Even during the baseball season, that was like wow. So we had, when you look back, it's all these millennium thing happening at the end of the century. Yeah. That's that. We got then 9 years later, June 13th to be exact, 2009, Misawa also passed away in that ring.
BJ wants to know, do you think Mrs. Baba thought about trying to get Onita to come back? I think he's kidding.
Maybe yes and no, because they actually were close. Young Onita, was like an adopted son of Mr. and Mrs. Baba. That's true. But bringing in Onita wouldn't help All Japan, because Onita would do what Onita would do: the death match and the fire, the this and that. But the All Japan is traditional pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's not a good fit.
Yeah. Probably like a one big show situation,
right?
And give you the environment where he can do his stuff.
Or sort of like he did with the Baba Memorial show we saw.
Yeah, and separate. Yeah.
Suddenly the music hits, the crowd goes crazy.
Popular.
Very huge popular.
Yeah,
maybe the second biggest pop of the night behind.
And also very famous in general public too,
Yeah.
But he is the deathmatch guy.
Yeah.
Deathmatch king. The reason Onita was doing the deathmatch king was that he could no longer do the regular wrestling match.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was a good one. But and Mrs. Baba had a soft feeling about this young Onita too. He's always cute, for Mr. and Mrs. Baba. But what he does is very different from what All Japan does.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not a good fit.
That was a very good question. We need more questions.
We're doing great.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about the match itself?
Actually, I was at the building, but how long this whole Budokan thing from the, if you sit there from first match, second match, third match, fourth match, then it's really one thing to watch the match on video later on, just that one match.
Yeah.
And be like precisely understand the exchanging of moves and all these things. But what you see in the building and the crowd reaction and the feeding and even the smell of the building, all these things, it's entirely different memory. And to be completely honest with you, perfectly honest with you, I don't remember all that much about what took place. And all I remember was that at the end of the match, Kobashi gave right arm lariat to Stan, and Stan went down and actually heard 1, 2, 3.
Well, they had Stan was going to give the clothesline to Kobashi. Vader was holding Kobashi. Akiyama
Jumped
jumps
in.
up on the
Yep.
ring and nails Hansen from the back, which
With
gives
his knee, famous knee.
yes, which gives Kobashi the opening to give Stan, the hammer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was it's an interesting finish, and that's when they cover him.
And sure enough, Stan got up and gave his signature clothesline before
Right.
he left the ring.
And Vader gave him the splash.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember, But I think the whole thing was historical, not the content of the match itself. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah. The very important night in Japanese wrestling is what I'm saying. Yeah.
But I mean, was that the first? I mean, Burning, became really sort of the tag team of that era.
And also Jun Akiyama moving up to
Yeah.
add himself into 5 big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Not the big 4, but the big 5 now.
Right.
Yeah. Then you had Takayama and Omori right underneath. No fear. This is the whole new generation of guys. Yeah. And also Yoshinari Ogawa, people realize that guy actually was Misawa's lieutenant all along. Yeah. And sure enough, he was a lieutenant at the beginning of Pro Wrestling Noah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on as far as
we are going to have to talk about Mighty Inoue.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's also a forgotten star for today's wrestling fan. That's something that because he retired from ring like in 97,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was also a referee for the All Japan, and he was one of the group, one of the guys who went from All Japan to Misawa's Pro Wrestling Noah, the founding member, and also referee. But he had this very, I not to like forget about this, very important dates and things that he's done. That I took some, I brought the memo. Yeah, because he's actually, like the former IWA World Heavyweight Champion,
Right.
And also he's like 6 times IWA World Tag Team Champions, 3-time All Asian Tag Team Champion, and 1-time NWA International Junior Heavyweight Champion, and All Japan version of World Junior Heavyweight Champion. That's a lot of belts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also by by talking about Mighty Inoue's career, we can talk about the company called IWE, International Wrestling Enterprise. That it's a fairly big wrestling company that existed only 15-year period, 1966 to 1981, 15 years. Only a 15-year period, but they produced a lot of wrestlers, and also IWE was responsible bringing in young Monster Rushmoff before he was Andre the Giant,
Right.
And the IWE was responsible of bringing in Billy Robinson from Great Britain, then had Billy Robinson train Japanese wrestlers and becoming Gaijin babyface before even Dick Bayer the Destroyer. You know what I'm saying? And also IWE was the second company the biggest company was JWA, Ricky Dawson's JWA onto Baba Inoki together, at the time Baba and Inoki together, international tag team champion. Before Inoki, started New Japan, before Baba started All Japan. Both companies started in 1973. Anyhow, this IWE was very interesting company that they're breaking off from this mainstream JWA company. The gentleman wrestler, very first college graduate wrestlers, Isao Yoshiwara started with Hiro Matsuda. Coming back from America, and Isao Yoshiwara they formed the second company to dominate JWA, International Wrestling Enterprise. And they brought in Hiro Matsuda against Danny Hodge match right from America to start. But there was a falling out that Hiro Matsuda left the company for good, and Yoshiwara kept this company, and they had the network channel, Channel 6, TBS. So that the Nippon Pro Wrestling, established Nippon Pro Wrestling, JWA had Channel 4, Friday night, 8 o'clock. And Kokusai, IWE had also had network channel 6. And when I was a kid, it was Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. So it's easy for kids to watch, you know?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Then when I was third grade, oh my gosh, when I was third grade, I watched Carl Gotch against Billy Robinson on TV. Carl Gotch, 47-year-old Carl Gotch at the time, and 30-year-old Billy Robinson. But this new, Nippon Pro Wrestling, JWA format in a ladder. This all the Japanese wrestlers are babyface, all the American wrestlers are like a heel, like a very simple format, right? But when you watch IWE, it's like there's like an international talent. Carl Gotch, Billy Robinson, it's so dignified looking guys wrestling, and young Monster Rushmouth, or they had the partnership with Vern Gagne's AWA. So Vern Gagne's first trip was with IWE. There was another world title, right?
Right.
And what was interesting with IWE was that it's so modernized that there was, top stars are like a strong Kobayashi, great Kusatsu, Rasha Kimura, Mighty Inoue, Animal Hamaguchi. They all had English name on it. Isn't that interesting at the time?
I never thought about that.
Yeah. Well, Giant Baba, yes. Antonio Inoki, yes. Jumbo
Sure.
Tsurugi, yes. But later on, Keiji Muto or Mitsuharu Misawa, they never had gimmick name.
Right.
But it was so late 60s into early 70s that strong Shozo Kobayashi, great Kusatsu, Rasha Kimura, Mighty Inoue, Animal Hamaguchi, and so on. They looks a lot more modern with different color costume and all these things. And Mighty Inoue was the very first group of 1967 IW rookies trained under Hiro Matsuda. And he grew up being wrestling fan. Mighty Inoue's real name is Sueo Inoue, Osaka native, growing up as a wrestling fan. And his idol growing up reading wrestling magazine was Edouard Carpentier. Does it ring a bell?
Which makes sense.
Edouard Carpentier with sunset flip to a somersault dive to a cartwheel to
head scissors. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly what Mighty Inoue did all his 30 years of his career. Interesting, huh? And actually, Edouard Carpentier had two tours with IWE, 1970 and 1972. And Mighty Inoue actually met his idol. That's a good wrestling story. Anyhow, Mighty Inoue being IWA, company was IWE, okay? International Wrestling Enterprise, Kokusai Pro Wrestling. But the title was IWA, World Heavyweight title. They kind of had to pretend that the headquarters is in England. Much like, Giant Baba's PWF, Pacific Wrestling Federation, that the headquarters in Honolulu, Hawaii was Lord James Blair's, right?
Right, yeah.
So it's good to have, what do you call it? Kaiser Soze? I don't know. Or Leamington Steel, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyhow, IWA World title. Mighty Inoue being IWA World Champion was almost experimental. It was right after Strong Kobayashi was signed away by Antonio Inoki's New Japan. Kobayashi quit the company, but Antonio Inoki, 1973 version of Antonio Inoki produced one star of New Japan against one star from IWE. Two major Japanese start facing, just meeting up for the big single match, first time in 20 years.
Sure.
First time in 20 years. What does that mean? 20 years ago, there was Ricky Dozan against Masahiko Kimura. Very serious. One Japanese star against another Japanese star collide. It's like, who's going to win kind of thing. But basically, New Japan and Anthony Inoki stole strong Kobayashi from IWE. But anyhow, that Isao Yoshiwara, the company president, we are going to make Mighty Inoue our champion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was almost experimental. Then there was a phantom title change. Phantom title change. Dave announced it. August of 1974. Superstar Billy Graham beat Billy Robinson in Denver, Colorado for the title. There was no title match in Denver, Colorado, but and then later on, when Billy Robinson was living in Tokyo, I spent a lot of time with Billy Robinson. It was one thing I could never ask him in person, because he's like, don't ask me that one, like thing on him. He's like, now I wasn't going to ask him, but the more I talked and beat around the bush, it became so clear that title match never took place. Superstar Billy Graham never beat Billy Robinson in Denver, Colorado in August of 1974. But upon Superstar Billy Graham's first tour to Japan, it was announced he beat Billy Robinson in Denver, Colorado, and became IWA World Title. And the first challenger would be Mighty Inoue.
Now, it's funny because when Mighty Inoue died, before The Observer came out, I went on YouTube, and because I don't think I'd seen much, if any, of Mighty Inoue.
Mighty Inoue match.
And what came up was Superstar Billy Graham.
He actually
against Mighty Inoue.
1974 version of Billy Graham.
Yeah,
that's big.
And I was like, who did Billy Graham beat? I was like, I would know this. And I was like, very puzzled.
Yeah, to become IWA champion?
Yeah, because I was like, I would know this match. If this match.
Yeah, which champion did he beat, right?
Right, yeah. What? Yeah. He never spent a great deal, some tours, but I was just like, it was very puzzling to me.
It was announced in Japan by the company IWE, but at the time, Tokyo Sports, that monthly pro wrestling magazine before Weekly Pro Wrestling, Gang magazine, all the sports section of the newspaper, sports papers, they took this word as official announcement. August 16th, 1974, in Denver, Colorado, then champion Billy Robinson, defeated by Superstar Billy Graham. Therefore, the new IWA World Champion, Billy Graham, will be making his very first trip to Japan, which was IWE. And the useless trivia, but Superstar Billy Graham was actually the very first American wrestler in Japan who came in with music.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. No, not even Inoki, Baba, nobody, Stan or Tiger Jeet Singh, they didn't have music until 74. Interesting, huh?
That is interesting.
Yeah, and because IWE was innovative company that they did a lot of things, that the IWE was the very first company who introduced cage match in Japan.
Right.
Yeah, and
the
European wrestlers like Billy Robinson, the Billy Joyce, all these English guys that came in, and Young Andre the Giant was discovered, because of it. People like George Gordienko, that the host Human, and all these European superstars came in, and Billy Graham made his first tour, and his music was sure enough the soundtrack of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Sure.
Yeah, and the first week they did the bench press contest in that wrestling ring. That's new too.
So Chippy,
bench press.
When I watched the match, it's 74 Billy Graham, So
Yeah.
he's thinner.
Real good one.
Yeah, he's his waist. I mean, he looks very cut and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
much thinner than even his WWE 78.
Well, like he wouldn't become WWF champion until 77.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's really kind of remarkable. Do you want to get into why Graham and not Robinson?
Uh, see, you would think there was a falling out between IWE and Billy Robinson, right? But the Billy Robinson made a few more tours with New Japan. But either he wouldn't be putting, this young Japanese wrestler over, or the way he dropped the title. I mean, he wouldn't do that to Billy Graham in Japan,
Right.
Yeah. But later on, okay. But okay, let's fast forward a little bit. Mighty Inoue beat superstar Billy Graham for the title, then became champion. The first title defense was like the guy against like Ray Stevens. And same year, October of 1974, both that November then, that Vern Gagne and Billy Robinson came in. And there was a IWA and AWA double title match between Vern Gagne and Mighty Inoue, and Billy Robinson special referee. You know what I'm saying? That's on YouTube too. Yeah. And so he had this thing, you know, beating superstar Billy Graham, or didn't even get beat by Vern Gagne. You know what I'm saying? It was a 2 out of 3 fall match, 1-1, and typical 70s double count out. While Vern Gagne had a sleeper hold on Mighty Inoue, both guys go out of the over the top rope, and Billy Robinson counted 20 for the double count out, and both guys kept the belt. Of course, that's very 70s.
Yeah.
But Mighty Inoue's placed really high, on the card. Yeah. But summer of 1981, IWE went out of business. Lost TV deal and all these things. Then they split into almost 2 groups: Rasha Kimura, Animal Hamaguchi, and Isamu Teranishi. Those are 3 wrestlers that All Japan, that Inoki's New Japan wanted. Just only 3. What about everybody else? This Mighty Inoue became kind of like a young leader of the group and had a press conference with Giant Baba. I want to join All Japan Pro Wrestling. Mighty Inoue, that like a young Fuyuki, young Sugawara, that the 4 or 5 young wrestler signing with All Japan. That's like he became like a young, I don't know, not a general, but like a young lieutenant. Nobody's doing anything about young wrestlers. Who went IWA going down, but we're not retiring. We want some place to wrestle. And Baba, total baby face. Mighty Inoue, total baby face. They joined and signed under All Japan Pro Wrestling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But so he had a IWA champion run, and he dropped the title to Mad Dog Vachon. This is pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Rasha Kimura beat Mad Dog Vachon to become IWA champion, and the rest of the remaining of the company that Rasha Kimura was pretty much the guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Mighty Inoue always had IWA tag team titles like 6 times, with people like Satsu, with people like Animal Hamaguchi, with guys like Ashurahara. It's always like like a second or third from top.
Yeah, he's a popular guy. He just wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. But the junior heavyweight title, he had a very good run, beating Chavo Guerrero and dropping the title to Dynamite Kid. That's a good role.
Yeah, he and Chavo Guerrero, I saw some of those matches. They're
complement each other.
They're excellent opponents.
Yeah.
I know he copied Edward Carpentier, but my God, they're practically the Japanese and Mexican versions of each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, then
Yeah,
the beating Chavo Classic, of course.
right.
Chavo Guerrero is a type of, like a old, old style, old fashioned wrestlers that you have to respect this opponent to have this guy, I mean, putting this guy over.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
they must have mutual respect that the Chavo Guerrero dropping, NWA International Junior Heavyweight title to Mighty Inoue.
Yeah.
Then months later, Inoue dropping a title to soon to be superstar Dynamite Kid. That's a
Right.
good role.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, Dynamite Kid was that next generation of
Of
Junior
that
Hero.
genre.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense that Dynamite Kid would
Hmm.
beat Mighty Inoue, almost a passing of the torch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was there in a very important position.
Yeah.
And that lasted all the way to like 1989. He in Osaka, he beat Joe Malenko. Mighty Inoue beat Joe Malenko to be World Junior Heavyweight Champion, then dropped the title to Masafuchi. Then Masafuchi will have that Junior Heavyweight title forever, right?
Right.
So he was also there to do the transaction. Very interesting, And he had three-time All Asian Tag Team title. Beating Okumai and Kojika team, and also people like Honaga. Just while he was in All Japan, he had this like almost like a go-to guy when you have to switch it, like you have transitional champion
Yeah.
to have another champion, and he was there to do so, I think. And also there was a one single very important match for him. I almost forgot that Mil Masker's single match, 1981, 82, at the Sumo Palace, third from top. Then different version of IWA champion Mil Masker's single against Mighty Inoue. That was Mighty was happy, right? And also another one that's always forgotten, very important single match was 1975 December at the Budokan. He met his mentor, then NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion Hiro Matsuda, Kenmanteo title. Mighty Inoue challenged, for a junior
Yeah.
heavyweight title at the
Right.
Budokan. So that was pretty important.
Sure.
Pretty important.
And that
This
was,
this
go ahead.
December 75, Budokan show, that Ricky Dozan's 13-year memorial match was very important because same night, December 11th, 1975, one building, Sumo Palace at Inoki against Billy Robinson. The one building at the Budokan, they had the Giant Baba Destroyer, Funks and Abby and Hiro Matsuda and all these. Same night, 3 miles apart. One at the Budokan, one at the Sumo Palace, same night. So that was very much like wrestling war in Tokyo in the mid 70s. Very significant night in wrestling history.
As I was watching Mighty Inoue matches,
Yeah?
not a not a significant match by
Okay.
by any means. Um,
I
and I
never
know
had bad matches.
no, this
That
wasn't
kind of guy.
this is not bad, but he wrestled Big Boss Man when he came
Okay.
in '93 after he had been done pretty much with WWE. And don't get me
Was that
wrong,
a Big Boss Man costume or Big Baba Raja's costume?
Big Boss Man costume.
Boss Man costume? Yeah, okay.
Don't get me wrong, I like Big Boss Man in the United States. Japan does not work. Did not work for me. Anyway, and he just, it was almost like it was a TV match. That, the outside of the ring, the punch, and then the slam for the finish. Yep, the big boss man.
So Mighty Inoue,
Oh
of
yeah,
course. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
perfect match to go down.
oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, he very professional. Made boss man. I mean, boss man style is, in my opinion, not fit
Very,
for Japan.
that
But,
match
but
worked though.
yes, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, the guy went up, did everything he could, and like I said, super professional.
Yeah, it
And
was two kinds of American wrestlers. When people like Hulk Hogan even comes to Japan, when he comes to Japan, you work differently.
yeah,
Like Million Dollar Man Ted DiBiase, completely $1 million Man Ted DiBiase in WWF, right?
right,
But when he came back to Japan, he works like old Ted DiBiase.
right.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, maybe Stan did the same with WCW. He was like a
Yeah,
crazy Texan. So that some people can do both, but most of the time, one style over the other, you
yeah.
really have to adjust.
Right. Well, I mean, Stan had been doing it for years. So, of course, he's going to have adjustment time where Ray Traylor,
To American style.
yeah, didn't have that. Well, I mean, kind of started with American style with the
Yeah.
Funks. And I'm sure he probably had some advice from the Funks probably initially as well. So I'm not
Yeah.
criticizing Ray Traylor. I'm just saying it just,
Yeah, but this, Amaretto heritage is very important in Japanese wrestling.
yeah,
Starting from Dory Funk Senior to Dory and Terry to I don't know Bobby Duncombe
right.
to Stan, Dusty Rose, of course Bruiser Brody, all Texas West Texas,
Yeah,
university football guys.
exactly.
So
Definitely
this we love that
a pedigree
heritage.
there. Definitely a pedigree. Um, your book, we have a,
Oh, it's just
yeah,
coming out. Yes,
yeah, we have a date on that. What's the date?
December 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Ricky
And
Dose.
you can make like a reservation order on Amazon now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Japanese Amazon or any Amazon.
Any Amazon, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the book is in Japanese. It's not in English.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And in Japanese for now, yes. For
Okay.
now. And there's somebody pitched the idea that if not translation, I could be doing audiobooks.
That's a great idea. Why
Yeah.
didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? Probably because you're stuck.
Or I'll have you and I can talk.
No, 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 no. You go ahead and do that. Then people want the book. They don't want me. So give them.
Yeah, but then again, I want Pacific Rim to be as accurate as possible,
Sure.
and also I think we are old enough to have the I was there kind of you know like accuracy more so than doing the podcast after researching Wikipedia or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wikipedia is fine, but never that deep or the entirely accurate. When some was misinformed thing or wrong dates and the name and stuff, that will be there forever. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't think we can correct everything,
Right.
but what we know and as a first-hand information and like a experience, or I actually spoke with actual wrestlers.
Right.
You know?
No, I
So
mean, I know a lot of people appreciate the knowledge that you've brought over the years on this show. And, probably the number one comment I always get is, I have learned so much. So,
yeah, not that. I think I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
yeah.
But you and I, we love just sitting, just sit around and talk wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
You
All right.
know,
Well,
how
look,
many wrestling fans were there in your high school class?
I wouldn't know because I was
Because we
too.
don't talk about it in school.
No, 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 no. I know a few that outed themselves, but I was not the
I
guy to do
only
that.
had a couple in my high school class.
Yeah, we had a few.
And also, when I talked wrestling, they were kind of casual wrestling fans. They loved it, but never
You,
spent enough time reading back-to-back
I would,
magazine and all that.
I would see a few familiar faces, like when Don Owen, ran,
Yeah,
you know,
regular local wrestling.
my local town. But other than that, not so much. But even then, you weren't positive for sure because it may have just been a social event, or they don't necessarily doesn't mean they were necessarily fans as always.
Yeah, yeah. And also, you always run into this stigma thing.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah. So
Indeed.
and also here is
There it is.
I'm always wearing Hana Kimura T-shirt.
Yeah, that's
So,
good. That's a very pretty one. That's a nice one.
mhm,
I
mhm.
like that. Well, how can people get in touch with you on social?
Um, the Blue Sky, you know my address better than I do.
It is. Hang on. Give the other ones.
All right, Fumihiko Dayo, Fumihiko Dayo, Fumihiko Dayo on X, Twitter,
Right.
and regular Fumi Saito on Facebook. Fumi Saito no space 2001 on Instagram.
It's your Fumi Saito .bsky.social. So just
Okay.
Fumi Saito.
I signed up right away.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
I'm at Jim
And
Valley.
there's another one called Thread, right?
Threads, yeah. But I
Yeah.
don't think it's as active. I think Blue Sky's over.
Going to be?
Yeah, I think Blue Sky's the place. I'm there on Blue Sky at Jim Valley, bsky.social. I'm leaving X Twitter probably by the end of the year. I don't want to be there anymore. And so yeah, then I'm on Instagram and Threads if you want. But that's not so much wrestling, but it's Jim.
Yeah.
Underscore.
Facebook is really popular in Japan still to this
That's
day.
good. Well, good.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
also real name, so you can kind of trust.
That's see, we don't
You know what I'm
we have
saying?
that somewhat here, but not that much in here. All right. Until next
All
time.
right. Well, we talked about Stan and the Millennium, that the real tag team, and also All Japan's this historical, the events taking place following year to 2000 and into 21st century.
Yeah.
And also Mighty Inoue, Memorial, because he's forgotten superstar. And you can find a lot of Mighty Inoue match on YouTube, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah. So he's for today's wrestling fans, he is forgotten or unknown, obscure, wrestler, right? So we
He
gotta talk about somebody like that.
tell you what, for in the 1970s, he had the 70s look with the brill cream and the mutton chops. He looks very, very
70s guy, huh?
That's a compliment, by the way.
Yeah. And also somebody beating Superstar Billy Graham 1-2-3 in 1975. Oh my gosh.
That's a big
Who
deal.
is this guy, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. Someone wants to know how your kitties are doing.
here.
Oh, are we gonna get an appearance?
Sure.
There he is. There's the man Kiki. Looks adorable.
Put me down, he says.
Yes. Hang on.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's kind of funny. Here's
Yeah.
where is it? Here's Sherman. He loves his Christmas tree. So
okay.
he's always rubbing against his Christmas tree or sleeping under it. So
That's interesting.
there's Sherman.
Very good.
There we go.
All right. Well, let's have at least one more episode before
Yeah.
the year.
We'll definitely do that. All right. Until next time.
I almost was. Give me the cue again.
Until next time.
So long from Tokyo.
All right, kids. There we go. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.
Hi, man. Bye.
Bye.